Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Altcoin Daily with Bitcoin Gorilla. Today, we're going to be talking about XRP on a multi-time frame. We're going to be breaking down price, looking at the weekly chart, the monthly chart, the daily chart, and if time permits us, we will also be looking into the 4 hours chart. I remain Bitcoin Gorilla and I do not use indicators, so no indicators in this analysis is going to be pure price action, which means I'll be drawing my chart for you to see from scratch and I'll be implementing a strategy that I developed myself called the Bitcoin Gorilla box strategy. If you end up liking it, you can just give me a thumbs up to show me a sign that you did like it so that I should come and update you as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when next I post. If you don't, YouTube will forget you as well. So I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. Let's jump right straight into it. So the first thing I want to do is use the line. So I'm going to bring the horizontal trend line. Remember, I'm going to be using two tools, the horizontal trend line and the trend lines, as well as the rectangle l- box, right? So the horizontal trend line, the first thing I'm going to get is the all-time sell point and the all-time what buy or demand. So resistance and supply and resistance and support, supply and demand, buyers, sellers and buyers. It's just the same word, right? So the most important levels in our chart when price is going up is known as resistance. You can call it supply range, you can call it sellers range, whatever you want to call it, but they are very important. The most Another important levels on your chart is when price is going down, it encounters levels that they call demand area. You can call them support, you can call them bias area. Now, these are the areas I've tried to use this line to donate on my chart for you. Now, a line is not enough because when price gets to this range, everybody has their perception of what price they see this range as. People who use indicators, different indicators tell them that buy should be. Let's take for example SRP. Some their buy will be $1, some their buy will be 1.05, some will be 1.07, some will be 1.9. So everybody has a range, but most important, when this range actually take effect is when this range are very closely, when too many people are seeing the range of $1, between the range of 0.99 to 0.105. This will force a strong reaction on that price range. Example is what happened around this 1.4. I tell you, before they fall, they made a little attempts because of different buy orders and different sell orders at different range. And one thing you must know is sellers cannot exist without buyers and buyers cannot exist without sellers. So because to avoid this thing called stop loss hunt and the fact that the buyer's line breaks and the seller's line breaks. So support and resistance are constantly breaking. The more the demand in the market, the more resistances are going to constantly break as price forces is weighed up. Now, as price forces is weighed down, the more supports are going to break. So you see why just looking at that range as a line is not good enough and it will cost you money. So I treat such area as a line as an area, and that is why the Bitcoin Gorilla box comes in. So the first thing I want to get is the all-time resistance area, the all-time supply range. So this is what I've donated with this. So I'm treating it as an area instead of just a line. So this whole entire area is an area that price had a chance of dropping because of maximum people. A lot of people will be putting their sell order at that range. So this same range again is another very important range where a lot of buyers are likely going to put their buy order in this range. So I'm going to try to donate this range like this. So a lot of buy orders are going to be existing in this range. Now mind you, this is weekly chart, so If you're trading this chart, there won't be too many lines, so don't judge the line. And remember, we're not considering much of the lines, though we don't ignore it. So let's not be ignorant that these lines are there, this support and resistance are there, and they are capable of stopping the price. But also, we know that we can actually enter a trade here and we are targeting at the top. But what is going to happen along the way is what really matters. So remember, we are looking for the big moves, right? So here's the most important area inside the box. Why is this area? I see that as much as price move here or here, price always return to this point somehow. Look at when they started, they dumped, they left this area, they returned back to it, and then they left. Then they started the dumping continues, and then all of a sudden they returned back into it. Then they broke above it, but they returned back into it. And since they returned, they have been trying their best to stay inside that range. Very, very important range. So that is why there is the second box that I just brought in. So remember, I told you I'll be explaining every step, especially I know the fact that this strategy is not out there. I developed it myself, so it's going to sound strange to you. So, this inside box also have its own buy range and sell range. Very important. So, you see this range? Let me give you another explanation before I start breaking it down. This is a very important buy range. This is a very important sell range. But you must know something. A broken support becomes a resistance once broken. So if price breaks support and goes below it, by the time price is returning to it, it's going to be a battle. It's going to become its enemy. It's not going to let it pass through just like that. There will be a reaction because now the sellers will be on that broken support. So, and it's the same thing with broken resistance. When broken resistance get broken, they automatically become support. So these are interchangeable. Take note of that. So where we are now, we are on a very important range on SRP. Now, can we get a line? Can we get lines? Can we find trend lines? I like very being very open. So my box says that do not ignore the patterns inside the box. So let's try and see what kind of patterns are we finding. Channels, triangles, what kind of patterns? You have to understand price action to really enjoy this my box. So if you want to learn more, you can visit my website. Like I said, I'll leave the link under this video. You also get to trade live with me and see how this works. But access is currently closed, right? Because access is only open January, May, and October. So access into Makaveli Trader is currently closed. So here's the thing. This is what I'm saying, right? I'm seeing an expanding channel, right? Can I trade this? Well, let's find out. Let's go to daily chart and let's see what our new chart looks like. Is it tradable? So this is what the chart now looks like. So like I said, price is within the range that we need to consider very important. So as long as price is within this range, it's easy to start adding to buy. What if price breaks below this support? You might ask me, what if price breaks below here? The good thing is it is no longer far anymore. It is no longer far anymore because our box is just here. So if we break here, then there's a support right below at 1.4 range, of which at worst case scenario in SRP, we're going to end up on this channel that has been respected on the weekly chart, which is one and two. So we are likely going to end up somewhere around here, still very that close to $1.4. So the trend line is coinciding with my bigger box. So worst case scenario, it's not even far anymore. Now compare worst case scenario And this scenario, it's just a little patient now. But I don't even see that worst case scenario playing anytime soon because I see something actually going on. And this is where we're going to dive deeper and actually break this price into something deeper. So I am going to look for the seller's line, right? Don't ignore any pattern inside the box. So I'm going to get the seller's line. Remember, everything I do is about supply and demand. Two things move price: buyers and sellers. So I have one and two, very clear. They need a three touch. So chances are high that where SRP is now, we could see a move up. But when they move up, there is a 4 hours. In fact, this is daily chart. I told you guys we're going to consider both. Sorry about my alarm. I told you guys we're going to look deeper into this. We're going to look deeper into this so that it will favor both 4 hours trader as well as other traders. If I go to 4 hours, you find out that there's another seller line that has been pushing price consistently down from this range. Look at it. So this is for the sake of 4 hours because we are currently on that seller line. So whatever is happening now is, are we going to break it? Because if we're able to break the seller line, let me zoom in so that you see it. This is 4 hours chart. It's a multi-time frame. So you be patient with me. We're getting somewhere. I don't want this video to exceed 20 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to round it up. So you can see we have clear touches, right? So they are currently back on that line. Are we going to get pushed down? Because if we're going to get pushed down, then the only place we're going to end up is around that what? Um, there's already a double bottom here. There's already a double bottom. So with what they have printed so far, chances are high that they will just make a little move and then attack again and break this line. So chances are high we are about to sooner than later break this seller's line on 4 hours. Chattered it and destroyed. So chances of it going down to this my 0.48 is there, but is lesser than the chances of them breaking through because of the current pressure they are applying. The pressure is growing, and I can see it. You can see them acting like this. So even if they push them down, they might not push them down too long. Let me zoom in. Remember, this chart is far not zoomed in. So when I zoom in, I see a broken intraday. This one will be around 1 hour chart, right? So they could come and retest. Here's what I see. They could come and retest. Remember, if you are trading this chart, do not say the lines are too much, because if I'm trading it, I'm going to have to zoom in to see a clearer view. Remember, we drew this chart on 4 hours, so the target will be right here, 0.7 and 0.8 range, around 0.8 range. So I see them, even if they push them down, because I see them actually attacking this multiple of, the goal is they are getting to this point. There's no point about it. That is the point of my support range. Remember, I said this entire range is going to be buyer attack. So even if they push them down, buyers are going to attack again. Everything that is going to happen once they are in this range is going to be buy attack. They won't go further. Even if they go down, they won't go too far. Like I said, we've already talked about that. So these buyers are likely going to strike this 0.8 soon. Though they could push them down, but they will recover depending on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a way of just taking the entire crypto with it. If Bitcoin reacts to 44K or 42K, there will be a reaction on SRP, and that would be what could push them down to this 0.48. So let me just be honest and not put fake hope into you. I'm very honest, but if you're holding SRP, I don't think that should be a threat. That should not be no threat, because something big is coming. And this is why now we're going to have to look at what daily chart. We're going to look at the daily chart and see the possibility of the bulls actually retaliating and changing the direction of all this whole thing. So on the daily chart, this is what I'm saying. So if the bulls can maintain the higher low, because there's already a double bottom right here, if they can hold up this higher low here and attack this point and then attack this seller line at 0.9, 0.9 to zero point 0.1 range, right? Once they can break through it, I know they can't make it easily through. They could just push them right down and they go up, or they could first make their way. They could force through, and there will be a stop loss hunt of those who shorted here. So they could just move all the way direct here and end up at this 1.1, right? Before even coming back for a retest of the broken support. But their target on the weekly chart, my brother, my sister, is straight up to 1.4. By the time they start this recovering, they are trying to recover on. This recovering, they are trying to hold on to. If Bitcoin don't disappoint us and get us dive down, I keep remembering you guys there that there's a chance of it getting to this channel, because it's a channel. This completes the channel. But I'm just saying, if the inner box play out the way I see it playing out, it's likely chance. If the chance change, I'll definitely come and update you. But here's what I see. So if you are buying SRP now, please put a stop loss. It's still at a very good price, so your stop loss shouldn't be more than zero point 0.4, right? It's still at 0.67 range. So if you entered and you just bought 0.4, but if you're holding for a long time, why don't you just be patient? Because at worst case scenario, we're not going below this 0.16 again. We're not going below it. Just be rest assured that we are in a very good range for SRP. So very soon we're going to see a move to this 1.48. Now this is going to be something. Once they get to this Marcella in range, there will be a reaction, and I see them getting pushed back down. And when they do get pushed back down, depending on how the supply that is lying right here, I can't tell you how much supply is going to lie there, because my brother, my sister, I do not know how many people will decide to buy SRP tomorrow morning and how many people will decide to sell. It doesn't matter the news, the amount of money that goes and leaves the market in a day, nobody can say exactly. It is the history that we keep trying to use to speculate the future. So it is always important to know that this market is uncertainty. We are dealing in the world of uncertainty, which means it's a game of probability. Whether you like to hear the good news all the time, you must also prepare for the worst. So my brother, my sister, I have to tell you the honest truth that even if we make it back up, they are likely going to return to this point and attack. But I do see them returning to 1.9. So we could go, and if the savages sellers that lie here are savages, like real savages, because you can see they never allow them even close above it. If they are savages, they could even push them down to here. I gotta be honest with you. They can push them down. If they are savages, they could just push them down and return them to this point. It's possible, my dear. It's possible. But I don't want that to happen. What I want to see is that the volume continues and the crypto market don't react, or Bitcoin don't react. Then likely we're going to get, of course, overcome this sell range. But before then, would have seen more data to see what is likely going to happen. Because most important thing when I'm trading, I'm always considering the candles. You might make prediction, but every day different volume enter this market, and then you have to reconsider what you just made. Volatility is crypto, and crypto is volatility. This is why you must take measures that you have protected yourself against loss. Measures like knowing how to use stop loss on your trade. Even if you're trading spot, you can still use spot stop loss, and it's good to set them down so that if things don't go right, you are out. It's good to cut losses early short, accept loss early, than stay in a trade. But if you are here for the long run, if you are a holder, man, I think good one is coming. We are going beyond $2, because the range we are is a good buy range. It's a good buy range. And at worst case scenario, come on, this is just what is risk here. This is the risk here. So at worst, they drop to this point. Now compare this to what happens when they take back the move to the upside. So if the double bottom plays out, we could get something like this. And that is where my $2 prediction comes in. But I am constantly going to be updating this analysis and the chart. So please, if you do find this strategy quite interesting, my box strategy says once we leave the bottom of a box, we'll touch the top of the box. And once we come, we're likely going to head to the bottom. And if we leave the bottom, we're heading to the top. So 1.4, it's very sure coming before we talk about $2. Before then, I would have come to update you. I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. Thank you for watching. Happy trading.